just like Detroit.
Oh yeah, sure.
All right, guys, now come on up here. Come on. Like I said, some of you guys can fill in here, or a couple of seats right here. All righty, we all set? Like I said, just give me a few minutes and then we'll let you go. All right, now the fish hook starts at the base of this hill and goes in that direction. For you guys, it goes in that direction for about 2¼ miles up to that tree line, and then it hooks to Culp's Hill where you guys went up the tower, yes? So it goes down and hooks to the right. The Confederate battle line is absolutely the last thing you can see. All right, and it continues all the way until it disappears behind the high ground that we just came up and over. The high ground on your left is Big Round Top. Now, at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, there are 10,000 Union soldiers in battle lines from about where the Pennsylvania Memorial is, from the base of this hill in that direction for about 3/4 of a mile. But under the command of a major general from the state of New York by the name of Daniel Sickles. Now, as soon as Sickles is placed in that position, he doesn't like it. He's been given the only low ground on the entire Union battle line to defend, and it's no fun to defend low ground in any war. On his own and without orders, he moves his men forward looking for better positions. Now, he's putting the entire Union battle line at great risk. The reason being is he's moving forward up to 3/4 of a mile. Now, again, guys, he should have been in a straight line from where that dome, from the base of this hill in that direction, and including this hill. Instead, he moves his men forward. Guys, I don't know if you can see it, but there are red barns in the distance with white trim. That's how far forward Sickles moves without orders. His battle line starts to the right of the last red barn, continues to the left, through these trees, up and over the ridge line in front of us, and he places his left end in those rocks on the other side of that parking lot down there. That's Devil's Den. So you can see Sickles is not where he's supposed to be. When Meade, the Union commander, finds out about this, he is very angry. And he sends a man to this portion of the battlefield, a man he hopes can correct the problem. He sends that man. Well, you guys can't see it, but you guys can. Right there on that monument, that's Major General Gouverneur Kimball Warren of Meade's staff. Now, Warren wants to get as good a view as he possibly can of what is going on with Sickles. So he does what we do. 159 years later, he comes to high ground to get a better view. He and his staff come riding up the hill. As they do, in their horror, they realize that Dan Sickles has left this hill unoccupied. There's nobody up here. And when he climbs off his horse and climbs up on that rock and looks in that direction, past that white barn where General Hood was wounded, he sees those 1,650 Alabama and Texas Confederates. But they're not heading for any portion of Dan Sickles' advanced positions. Instead of doing exactly what we just did, they're swinging around them. To do that, they're going to have to climb Big Round Top. That's going to slow them up some, but they're making for this hill. If they take this hill, they would be behind a portion of the Union Army and on high ground on the rest of the Union Army. General Warren and his staff, they mount up and they head in that direction, looking for as many Union soldiers as they can possibly push to this hill. About a half a mile to your right, they find 1,450 Union soldiers under the command of a colonel by the name of Strong Vincent. And Vincent is told to get up here as fast as he possibly can. It's now a race to the hill. Well, the Union soldiers are going to win that race by 5 minutes. That's how close it came to utter disaster for the Union Army. It's a whole lot easier to defend a hill than to attack one. Now, the battle takes place halfway up this hill on this little ledge that you see in front of you. You see a monument. Those evergreen trees were there at the time of the battle. And I try to show you 2 other monuments when we're still in the bus coming up that part of the slope. Union positions established. 5 minutes later, it's attacked. Confederates eventually working their way to attacking both Union ends or both Union flanks on the hill. Guys, you guys know what a bayonet is?
Yeah.
Well, for those of you who don't, it's like putting a knife at the end of your rifle. Makes your rifle like a spear. Both ends of the Union battle line will be determined by the Union bayonet. About 150 yards in that direction, 377 Union soldiers from the state of Maine, under the command of a college professor by the name of Joshua Chamberlain, are attacked by 650 Alabamans. It is one of the nastiest fights at Gettysburg. In 50 minutes, it went to hand-to-hand combat 5 separate times. The fight degenerated to men throwing rocks at each other. Finally, when the Union commander Chamberlain realizes his men are completely out of ammunition, he sees no support being sent to him, gives the only command he feels he can give, and that's fix bayonets and charge. 200 men, that's all he can afford, will affix bayonets and charge an overwhelming number of Alabamans, and they are successful. At the point of a bayonet, they drive those exhausted Alabamans off that flank to secure that flank. Remember, guys, those are the Alabamans that had marched 24 miles that day and went into battle without their canteens. And for that bayonet charge, Chamberlain will be awarded the Medal of Honor, the highest award any soldier could get in the United States Army. By the way, one of 63 that were issued to Union soldiers at the Battle of Gettysburg. But his hill was secured not by one bayonet charge, it was secured by two. The other one's right in front of you. Between that monument there and that monument there were 200 Union soldiers from Michigan, mainly Detroit, by the way. All right, that's their monument down there. That's the 16th Michigan Volunteer Infantry. These men were badly beaten back by the repeated attacks of 500 Texas Confederates. When the Texans are successful, however, they start slowly pushing up the hill. But fortunately, that man on the rock, General Warren, has not been sitting idly by. While what's going on, he's been down in that valley behind me looking for as many Union soldiers as he can possibly push to the hill. And those Union soldiers begin to arrive. The first group to arrive, 535 New Yorkers, under the command of a colonel by the name of Patrick Henry O'Rourke. Guys, have you ever heard of a place called West Point?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a military academy. He graduated first in his class. The guy who graduated last in his class led Michigan troops here at Gettysburg. His name was George Armstrong Custer. Well, it doesn't matter. But anyway, he was an incredibly good academic, meaning he was a great student. When I'm finished here, you might be able to see a small little monument through those trees. If not, just take the path to your right. You'll see Patrick Henry O'Rourke's face. His nose is very shiny. The reason being is students like yourself have been rubbing that nose for good luck and better grades in school for over 100 years now. If you think you need the help, you might want to rub that nose. Also, he's the first Irish American ever to graduate from West Point. So you got any Irish in you at all, you got to rub the nose. Well, anyway, as he comes up and over the crest of the hill where that group is right there, they look forward. What do they see directly in front of them? 500 Texans looking back. The only command that O'Rourke can give is fixed bayonets. 535 New Yorkers have fixed bayonets. Paddy O'Rourke draws his sword, and with the words, "Down this way, boys," he leads them in a desperate bayonet charge. Now he gets hundreds of Texans turning their fire upon them. In a matter of 5 minutes, a third of the New Yorkers are shot down, including their colonel. O'Rourke was shot through the throat. He bled to death where they're sitting. But the New Yorkers do not stop. They're now all over the Texans and at the point of a bayonet. They drive the Texans off the slope to secure the flank and the hill. You know, the bayonet was not an overly used weapon in the American Civil War. Most soldiers used it for tent pegs and candle holders. But yet on the most important ground at Gettysburg, and you're on it right now, both Union ends or both Union flanks on the hill were determined by the Union bayonet. That makes this still one of the most studied military actions in the world. Now what happens to Sickles out there? Well, he'll send 10,000 men forward. He'll lose 4,000 of them. Meade will reluctantly send him another 13,000 more men in the form of reinforcement, trying to reinforce those lines. They will be unsuccessful. All those positions out there fall to the Confederates. Devils then, after 45 minutes of hand-to-hand fighting. The Wheatfield on the other side of that first line of trees. In 25 acres in 2.5 hours, there are 6,000 casualties, killed and wounded lying in the wheat. A Confederate victory. And where you see those barns and the white fencing, all Confederate victories. But where do they push the Union soldier back to? Right back to where he should have been in the first place, right back to the fishhook. Where Meade reinforces the line, they do battle, and they force the Confederates to give up the fight. They're only able to do that, however, only if this hill stays in Union hands. And it stayed in Union hands because of the Union bayonet. Fair enough? That's all I have to say. All right, wait a minute. Listen, you guys have to be back at what time? 11:30? 11:30, yes? All right. Take it till 11 o'clock. How's that? That'll give you about 14 minutes. Again, you can go up in the Castle Monument if you want. That's the 44th New York Infantry. O'Rourke is to your right. You go to the top of the hill, you take maybe some of your best